I'm going to be talking about my reading of All That Is Secret by Patricia Raybon. This is the first book in her Annalise Spain mystery series, and there's a second book that's supposed to come out in 2022. First of all, check out that cover. Absolutely love it. The author, Sofriania, if I said that right, Scott, who we read Unforgivable Love back in 2019 for hashtag March Mystery Madness, she actually what is a blurbs? I forgot what you call those things, but it's an engaging, thrilling 1920s murder mystery. This intrepid sleuth would give Sherlock Holmes a run for his money. No, that's absolutely wrong. And y'all know how I am. I'm not gonna play now laters. I'm not gonna play Laffy Taffy with y'all. I'm not gonna play Dunkin' Donuts with y'all. If I got something to say, I'm going to say it. Okay. There was an author once who told me to speak my truth, even though I went through it on her book, but I kind of like I take hold to those words, take heed to those words, or heed the hold. But anyway, the Anna Lee mystery series, All That Is Secret. So first, we need to put a couple of pins here. Number one, if you do happen to go to the bookstore looking for this book, it is not in the mystery section categorically. It is in the Christian fiction section. Number two, the book takes place, like I said, in the 1920s, specifically 1922 to 23, I think, around that range. And number three, it takes place in the setting of Denver, Colorado. So it's a mystery that features a primarily black cast taking place not in the South, which is different. Usually they take place in the South or on the West Coast, so it's kind of a new thing here. The only other one writer I can think of, black writer who writes mysteries that does it in the actual same place, is Robert Greer. Anyway, that aside, we're going to talk about this book. Okay. Ooh, child. Okay. So All That Is Secret. It opens up with us being introduced to this black cowboy working on this ranch. He is finished his assignment for the day. We're in the dead of winter, and here he is going back to the ranch itself to turn in whatever reports that he has to his, the white landowner who owns the ranch. Upon him going back to the ranch, he stumbles upon a baby wrapped up in a tarp thrown out into this field. Of course, like I said, it's in the dead of winter, so this baby is practically on the holding on to its dear life. So naturally, and the moral thing to do, he gathers the baby, takes the baby to the ranch to try to subsequently revitalize the baby because it's slowly dying because of hypothermia. And unfortunately, the baby does not make it. Now, between the time in which this incident happened and a year later when Anna Lee gets involved, this cowboy happens to be murdered. He is pushed off of a train, and his murder goes, it turns into a cold case for over a year. He is the father of our main protagonist, Anna Lee. So when the first chapter comes in, Anna Lee is introduced to us. And I really like this makeup of this character because she is educated. She's a professor, a theological professor at what is called Chicago Bible College, and she at the beginning of the book is going through like a range of different concerns as it revolves around her tenure as well as her papers and just the normal, well, I wouldn't say the normal, but being a black professor, there's that tedium that she had, the extraneous tedium that she has to deal with. But upon the beginning of the book, a little boy who's like a street urchin comes in, and he delivers this message to her, a telegram message in which it's very cryptic, but it says something to the extent of there's a key needs to go into the hole or a fire or something. I can't remember the verbatim, but what it does is it triggers within her the sense of having to go out and journey back to Denver, her hometown, to solve her father's cold case murder. And that's where the book kind of launches off. So here is the thing that I want to say about All That Is Secret. All That Is Secret contains a flurry of unique and compelling and just potentially pumped up with potential components and details that would have made a fantastic mystery had it been in so much more capable hands. So what I mean by the elements that were really, really, really wonderful and bright and illuminating in this book is one being Annalise Spain, the main protagonist. You know, she's a black woman. Like I said, she's educated. She's a professor. Another one is the cast of supporting characters towards her mystery solving skills, which is that of the street urchin, the boy that gets attached to her, given the fact that he is searching for his father while in turn his mother has passed away. So Anna Lee becomes sort of like that mother, that maternal figure that he attaches himself to her, and then he subsequently, of course, begins to help her investigate the goings on of her father's cold case. And then there's the pastor of a church, and he also gives some illuminating thoughts to and insight to the surrounding people within the community as he still resides there as a pastor. And those three come together to solve the murder. Now, on top of that, what was really interesting also was the political figures that play up in this series, in this book. One being the politician, I found pretty interesting because he collected small toys. And he had this conundrum with him where, you know, he was struggling between his job, his family, and his morals. Then you had his wife, who is a very pretty much embittered kind of woman, and then you had his son. So those just are just a few characters, but their housemaid, which was a black woman, you know, she was very interesting as well. But anyway, just given the setting, given the characters, given the time, it's just a flurry, like I said, of wonderful elements that would have told a good mystery. But unfortunately, what this book suffered from was it got off to a very bad start. And there's two things that comes to mind when I think about what this book three things suffers from. The first thing is it did not establish enough concrete grit as it concerns what would be the motivating force for Annalie to go and solve her father's cold case. And I say that because, first of all, the cryptic message had no sort of, it didn't read enough into a triggering mechanism for her to go and seek out her father's cold case. There wasn't enough in that message. But on top of that, it was sent an entire year later, just about a year later after his murder. So that concreteness just didn't seem to be have that much of a motivational pull to me. Of course, naturally, you will want her to go and solve her father's murder, of course. But like I said, the message didn't sell enough to me, the reader, and her, nor was, you know, then the time frame in which it was sent was just so long away. So that was one element that made it difficult for this book to stand. And I thought that as I read that, you know, it would start to gather itself and get on its motion, because, you know, it was a little shaky in the beginning. But the more I read, the more I kind of saw that that was not going to be the case, because the rest of the book from that point forward was riddled with a lot of plot holes. One example is, you know, Annalie has to travel to Denver from Chicago, so she gets on this train, and all of a sudden the book turns into like a cloak and dagger style mystery where, you know, I am the train a maitre d' or whatever, and let me rush you to the luggage cart because you don't know who's after you. The same people that's after that killed your father are after you too. I'm like, how they know she got on the train in the first place? Like, what? Because the pastor was the one who sent her the telegram. So I'm looking like, okay, all of a sudden people are launching. She's back in town, and just it becomes this cloak and dagger style mystery. And I'm looking like, okay, you're not. It's not backing up real well with me here. But as concerned plot holes, this guy on the train, this maitre d', I don't know the exact words, he puts Annalie within the luggage compartment. You don't even know for sure if he's trying to protect her or put her in danger. It's never even established as clear, but later in the book it surmounts to danger. But the thing is that inside the luggage compartment there is hidden an assassin. And there's also the street urchin boy who attached himself to Annalie. He was a stowaway on this train. So for all the hours that they spent on this train, the two were locked up, hidden in the luggage compartment, but not one time did they even, sort of got a sense of one another until Anna Lee actually came in there, and then she was attacked, and then the boy saved her life, which was another thing, the fact that he saved her life by doing something to her assailant, and it just, that never got a full circle of resolution to it in itself. But that's another example of what I mean by just plot holes, just this, like, yeah. So the more I read and the more I fell into these plot holes and was questioning the direction of the book or the author and her motives, the more I realized, okay, now I see what's going on here. And this is my second point of what happened that made the book suffer. The author was reaching for way too many. She was, well, we'll say this, as opposed to making a concise and well drawn branching mystery, she was more focused on having mystery playtime moments. We'll put it there, mystery playtime moments. And what I mean by that is, Cloak and Dagger, that's the murder on the train. There's the dining room scene of the suspects. There's the house on fire. There's the secret key, the ambiguous secret key that has an equally ambiguous lock that it needs to go into. There's the rifling around in the secretary desk or the wife's desk. There's the affair. It was just reaching for a lot of, like, playtime mystery moments to me, that just didn't have that cohesiveness in the overarching telling of the story. That is how I internalized it, or that's how I took it in. And so that's kind of, to me, what made the book suffer, is it was filled with these plot holes that were served as these mystery time moments. And when you think about how the author, or how the protagonist spoke so much about her being influenced by Sherlock Holmes, I'm looking like, I don't know. It's not helping. That's not helping her. On top of the fact that she's a professor, but she made a lot of very bad and illogical decisions in the book. One crazy thing she did was release a handbrake on a car to crash into someone's house so that she can make a diversion, so that she can go upstairs to rifle through some paperwork or some desk. Weird. And then another weird part of the book is when the main protagonist decide to go to a KKK rally. I'm looking like, girl, you are at the, wait, what? You're going to a KKK rally? She went through this whole convoluted thing in which she tried to get the street urchin on board with her because she wanted to find out who his father was in helping him, which they kind of suspected was a KKK leader. But I'm like, that's just you, one lady and a little kid going to a KKK rally. Like, girl, what are you, this is 1920s. Like, what are you thinking? Like, I don't know if it's a sunset town, but it's getting there. It's looking like it. Like, stuff like that just didn't make sense to me, and it really was frustrating because of that racial tension was a nice element to have dived into as it concerns this being a mystery. So the main protagonist, she just did make a lot of illogical decisions to me. And furthermore from that, I think the author was a little too focused on delivering this romance between Anna Lee Spain and the pastor of the church. Anna Lee, and all her naivete, was so consistently haunted and bogged down with every wisp of his breath, every glance of his eye, every sweep of his touch. It became this big momentous thing inside of her emotionally. And it's just like, girl, go, just, honey, I'm like, I get it, she's a virgin or whatever, but it's just like, man, like, you've never gotten, like, I don't know, the emotional intelligence part. Like, you're 25 now, you got to have some kind of emotional intelligence to be able to stay stalwart in addressing this newfound potential for love. But her every thought was bundled down into how much she wanted this to be a thing between these two. And it was a little intense. So those were the things that just kind of made the book suffer to me. It was a matter of it getting off on a bad foot with plot holes. It was a matter of the author playing with way too many playtime mystery moments. And it was this deliverance of this romance and how much emphasis was placed on it. And just, I think that it would have been much more rewarding if the romance was something that was delivered in the end. You know, the connection came in the end, and or she discovered her feelings and their feelings for one another toward the end. So there was a lot of drama with that in each of the other aspects of this book, including Annalie's relationship with the suspects and, you know, the pastor and his fiance. It's just some drama going on in there. But I think that one of the things at least I enjoyed was that I did enjoy the book. I mean, I finished it fine, and I will read the next book. Let's go ahead and make that clear. But what I think is that made me enjoy it, it was that I kind of saw, and I hate using that word potential, but the potential, like I can't write anything, but like the potential of the voice of Annalie becoming stronger in the next book, because I did like the author's writing style. It was very clear and colorful and detail oriented. That I enjoyed the her writing style. Now her choreography in some scenes needs some work in terms of character placement, but overall I felt like that there was some lyricism to her writing that I enjoyed, and some prose that I feel like that will be much more engaging once she gets the characters as well as the mystery down, which I hope takes place within the next book. So that is it. That's all I really want to share about my reading of All That Is Secret. I think it's worth the read. It's worth the read. Just hang in there, keep reading. Hopefully the voice will mature, and the writing, the mystery elements will get stronger, and we'll see what gives in the next book. So that's it. I'm out. Let's see what 2022 has to bring. Peace.